All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Run with the Wind, episode 21.
All right, Yuki. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Do this. Let's make some time back.
Yeah, Shindo was not doing well.
No,
and he got to have his rest, but he really pushed himself way too hard for that one.
Yeah.
And that was something that led to him basically really getting into in a rough place there.
Yep.
His family's scared and everything. But I can't even believe he did it.
Yeah, I can't either. Like the fact that we went from him collapsing to okay, he made it across the finish line. That's
Okay. All right. So Yuki, then Nico-chan, then King. That could be our next trio of runners.
Give
here.
your best.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. This was a really just solid, good, dual character focus episode.
Yep.
Having Nico-chan and Yuki get it localized to themselves, I feel like makes a lot of sense, given that King's character arc is completely different from theirs.
Yes, right. Because Yuki and Nico were always very close, right?
Yes.
And they sort of looked out for each other. At the very least, Yuki definitely looked out for Nico with everything that was happening.
Yeah,
so,
they're kind of the older, more mature kind of members of the Yukis.
Right. So it makes sense that they would have this episode together. And, oh man, I loved it.
And they also had very, very similar, but completely opposite in some other ways, approaches to the idea of getting into running. It was something that they both thought was unrealistic for their life choices.
Right, for various
completely different reasons. Yeah. The idea that Yuki was like, no, my life isn't going to involve any kind of athletic stuff in the slightest bit, so why would I waste my time on this?
And I don't have to. You can't make me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's his independence there, coming out. In some ways, his immaturity in that he's so averse to the idea of being roped into someone else's thing because of his independence that he'd reject that. And then Nico-chan has the unrealistic aspect of, well, no, you don't want me. I'm going to be the worst runner of them all.
Right.
And also, my health is so shot right now that there's no way I can make a change like that.
I have done things that specifically make it so that this isn't realistic, right?
Right. But what are we going for? What are we going for? Are we going for a win here? Or are we going for this just to run? Is the running in and of itself worth enough here? The fact that Yuki got to see his mom and his stepdad and stepsister in this race here was just the perfect icing on the cake of like, he didn't need this. Yes. Pun not intended, but that was so perfect for him to be reminded that this lonely road that he chose isn't one where he's running so fast that people can't come alongside him and cheer him on.
Right. And
it's so good.
So one of the things that I want to bring up in particular about how they did that whole bit there is that it really wasn't needed, because we already had a reason for why Yuki was running, in that Shindo was sick.
Yes.
Right? So he's got an incredible amount of motivation here to be like, all right, I've got the downhill, segment, I need to do as best as I possibly can, right? The fact that he got them up to 16, to position 16 after all of that is insane. Is absolutely insane. Yeah. But as a result of that fact, I was completely blindsided when his mom showed up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he already has that emotional core and motivation for why he's running. We don't need anything else. And then boom, there.
That hits you right in the heart, because what it is it's basically saying that his rejections of them, his ignoring of them, was something that didn't deter them. In some ways, they're strong enough runners, if you will, to keep up with him, despite him trying to, run past them.
He said objection, and they said sustained, or overruled, or whatever.
Overruled, exactly, overruled.
So,
what's just so beautiful about this is that Kakeru, over the course of time, gains Yuki begins to respect Kakeru over the course of time.
Yep.
Because what it is he realizes, oh, Kakeru is like me. Kakeru is basically the person that threw all of life to the side and went and dedicated himself to this thing.
Right.
And he's won he's
He went
he's
whole
honed
hog,
himself
and
to
he's
it.
doing fantastic.
Exactly. In the way that he basically committed to do this thing, he's done it. The part that's going to be different is going to be fun that they'll hopefully get into with Kurahara is that, well, he had some hills along the way that probably nearly sidelined him. But Shindo brings up, every time you commit to do something, you do it.
Yep.
You are free in that respect. You don't give up when something difficult comes your way. But Yuki made a little bit of one of those, I would say, very kind of Japanese kind of moments there where he, like, over-dramatically kind of stated something about himself in a negative way when he's trying to make the point. It was like, I'm useless.
Oh, uh-huh.
And you and I were kind of a little bit thrown by that for a second. But I think I figured out what that is, because it was something that kind of was pointing towards, I think, this one thing that I brought up. But now I'm pretty certain of it.
And what you're talking about, just in case that wasn't made clear, is at the beginning, before even the race, when he's like, oh, he's thinking about how he basically failed Shindo and the rest of them. And and we were thinking like, whoa, negative thoughts right before a race. Yeah. But so.
Yeah, so what it is basically that when he looked at the analysis of what are the things that could help him do really well in Section 6, like what are the things that make him optimize this part of the run here, he realized that was something that he probably did really well in the bit that he committed to do this for himself, because he's going to run this part well here.
Yep.
But Shindo, the one who ran before him, was the one that put himself out all the way for everyone else. Something that Yuki, being the intelligent, very rational person, could have helped him with.
Sure. Yeah.
Could have basically put himself into a situation and been useful, and Shindo wouldn't have had that problem necessarily. Now, we can never know what would have happened, and Shindo was also denying help in a lot of ways, so it was something where it's not just Yuki's fault or anything. No, of course not. Of course not. But Yuki in that moment probably realized that if he had committed to this, the whole thing, earlier,
maybe that would.
Who knows how that would have benefited the group?
Maybe that 2:45 pace that he was making, because I just did the math real quick. 2:45 pace. If you assume a 3-minute kilometer pace, which is really tough to do on the flats, but probably maybe a little
for an
bit
experienced runner.
Yeah. Well, easy for an experienced runner, and probably maybe a little bit low on the slopes, right? When you're going downhill, right?
Yeah.
But if we use that as the basis, 15 seconds difference between 2:45 and 3, that's a quarter of a minute. Multiply that by 20. He basically made up the 5 extra minutes that Shindo lost.
Yeah.
On his leg, right? That's huge. That's huge, right?
Yeah.
And even though it probably doesn't match up exactly to that amount,
Right, and also the other
That's
players are
ridiculous.
going to be probably running faster than 3 minutes a kilometer.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But
especially the ones in the lead. But
that hit me so hard when I saw them, and then actually got to have that little moment of seeing, well, in some ways, that moment where he made the decision to walk the lonely road. But then he gets to see Kakeru running ahead of him.
in his mind's eye.
And he just realizes, wow, today's my last day.
Right. And this is where he kind of he learns his lesson, right? Because he was okay with being lonely before, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love that he's the one who's saying, to Kakeru, because he's, again, that means he's also kind of saying it to himself, since Kakeru isn't actually there.
Yeah.
Don't get too lonely, right? And that was after his mom showed up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is before.
Oh, it's before.
It's before.
That's right. So, yeah.
Yeah, the place you're going is beautiful, but it's too lonely.
Right.
So don't go too fast. Don't go too far.
And you don't have to be lonely, Yuki.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Even though you've been kind of pushing your mom away and things like that, it's okay.
Yeah. And 2 seconds faster, and he would have won. He He would have won
the section. That is crazy.
Crazy to think about.
And then we see his shoes, and they're all bloodied, and it's like,
yeah.
oh.
So what I think happened here, and this is crazy, but because of the cold, because of the incline, and because of, well, probably just the aspect of how hard he was running here. When you run down a slope, if your shoes aren't, perfect, 100% perfect, which there's no way that they would remain perfect in how they would be fitted, basically, over the course of, but just the tightening of the shoelaces and stuff like that. The feet would slide and hit the toes would hit the front of the shoe because of gravity. Little bits.
Sure.
And when I'm talking hitting it, it's not like this. It's more like that.
Right, that bit of abrasion and agitation and stuff that, over a 21-kilometer segment.
And that's why the blood is focused at the front of his feet.
And then there's that little bit at the back near the heel, because that's also something that would be rubbing up against there probably a decent amount.
And I'm surprised no one brought this up or anything, but like this is where like anything from like a toenail out of slight perfectly cut.
Oh, sure.
Rounded bit there.
Getting a hangnail on like...
Or not a hangnail. Oh. I'm saying like a toenail that's not perfectly cut.
Gotcha.
Will literally cause something like this. Because it's not that the blood has to come from every spot around there. It could be just one little cut. And then just the blood is filling his shoe.
Right.
Because it keeps cutting that same spot little by little.
And if anything, like this might be the one bit that's like done for dramatic emphasis, but this is the blood that is soaked through to the outside of the shoe, like so that it's visible from there.
This is not that dramatic. I would just say this. Just running Ultimate Frisbee for like 3 or 4 hours, which is way more than you really should if you're. Ultimate Frisbee, you're really only gonna play like 90 minutes at most. I cut one of my toes on my toenail. And my left shoe was basically like more blood than this on the left shoe that he had here. So take out the heel. The heel is its own thing, and that's the part where you realize his shoes were starting to fall apart. Just a little bit.
Yeah, and these are new looking shoes. Like not brand new, like they're broken in and stuff, but yeah.
He tore it up on the track, literally.
This is the NASCAR kind of a thing where the car starts to disintegrate all around you as you go because you're pushing it that far. Yeah.
And this one here on the heel is more painful, I would say, than anything else. You can even see that the sole of his shoe on his left one there is actually separated from the heel.
Oh yeah, shit, that's right.
Yeah. So if he had gone for maybe another like 15 minutes running like this, he could have hurt himself. Like really badly. He could have fell.
Yeah.
So that's
good point. I didn't realize
amazing.
that. Yeah, the heel is actually just separating from the shoe.
It's just completely like almost entirely off there. But this is the kind of thing where not only did he go down on a downhill bit like fast, he went so fast that he started to loosen up, at least in his left leg here, his left foot specifically. His right foot, they kind of make a point that there is definitely blood on the toe, but we don't really actually see the heel. So I'm assuming that there's probably something there, but it's not necessarily as much. And given that Yuki, I believe, is right-handed from what we've seen of him, I don't from looking, this is one of those things I kind of notice. I always look for left-handed people in anime, see if I can tell. Because it's always an intentional thing by the creators, because most people just casually just make everyone like right-handed.
10% of the population or whatever is
exactly.
left-handed. Yeah.
But if he's right-handed, then odds are his power foot is his left. So so he would make intentionally sometimes or subconsciously. He probably is trained really well, so he's got it pretty even. But that could be why it's injured there a bit.
Yeah.
But
well, and also just running downhill, like there's going to be a lot more impact on the heel than on the balls of your feet than there would be like running on flats or uphill.
Yeah, that's where the training needs to come in, because you shouldn't have.
You don't want to have that.
You don't want to have heel impact.
Right, exactly.
No, you don't want to have any heel impact really. Like you can, but it's got to be minimal.
Right, you want to minimize it as much as possible, and yet there will probably be more of it on a decline than on slopes or inclines. So even more of that agitation at the back.
I loved the idea that Nico-chan's competitor, his rival here, was Tokyo, which is Sakaki's team.
Yes.
And so as he kind of goes back and forth with him, at the end of his race, even though he beat the guy by a long amount, like at least like 5 to 8 seconds or so, Sakaki ends up catching up with him. But Nico-chan's story, y'all, this is for all of us who have. I feel like this speaks to me, like, in a lot of ways, because I don't smoke. I don't have any like crazy bad like physical addictions or anything like that, but I definitely have a laziness addiction with regards to just being inactive. And I love running. I love running so much, but it is so hard to pick up running again for the sake of running.
Yes.
Once you've quit after a long period of time.
Yeah, I do not understand people that can run just for fun. Like, no.
And the fact that this is in some ways a thing unique to Nico-chan, none of the other characters are running specifically just for fun. Like, I would kind of say...
Yeah, like, there are a bunch of them that like, have a lot more fun with it, but I feel like it's definitely highlighted with Nico-chan because it was something that he was told he couldn't do.
Right.
You know?
But what I'm meaning is that when he was a kid, when he was in high school, he loved running then, too.
Right.
So, Prince, kind of got pressured into this.
Yeah.
And is now loving the power of friendship. Musa... just in some ways, I would say, just
got swept up in the group dynamic.
As well. Jota and Joji want to look cool.
Yeah.
Shindo wants to impress his family. Wants to, in some ways, I would say, just kind of shoulder this. And I would say maybe Shindo is the closest one to Nico in that regard. But
and I would say for a lot of people, it's easy to like something when it comes easily to you, right?
Oh, okay.
So it's. Kakeru has kind of like the reverse case where he was so good at it that there was a lot of pressure put on it and then it stopped being fun, right?
Being fun,
But if you're good at something you'll be hard pressed to hate it, right?
Yes.
But if you're not good at something and you still love it, that's tough.
Yeah, and that's tough. That's the part with Nico-chan though, is he was good enough at it to like it. Like he committed time to it.
Like he got on the team and everything.
Yeah.
But then
he basically was told, though, that winning is everything and speed is all that matters. Your body type isn't good enough for
you're not
long
competitive
distance
in
running.
the meta. Yeah.
So we should focus you on upper body based things. And he's just like, but I love running.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to do throwing.
Yeah, exactly.
God, that sounds so boring.
Yeah.
I hate running, but throwing, that sounds actually just awful. Like even worse than running, and that's saying something for me.
So with our man bun boy here, our totally not adult Asahi kind of equivalent in this story. The one who basically is the kindly giant who gave up their passion a little bit, but now is starting to find it again. The thing that helped him find it, being the one who was the first in the Chikusei, so he was the first one there and stuff, and Haiji being the second coming in, and them sharing this past of we were both great runners,
but we're not anymore.
And what I love about this is that they both stopped for different reasons.
Yep.
Haiji couldn't physically run without, in some ways, running the.
He literally had to stop.
Yeah. Otherwise, he would have ruined his capacity to run.
Yep. The only chance that he could have of running is to stop for 5 years or whatever it was.
Exactly. But Nico-chan stopped because he lost his passion, and so many of us I know have been through that situation where you lost your passion for something, and the really scary thing about this. Is whether you're in the process of losing your passion for something or you lost your passion for something, you can look ahead in the future and realize that it is not necessarily going to be something you get back.
Sure.
And that is terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying.
That is absolutely terrifying. I've talked with so many people who have that situation in relationships, in sports, in, skills, in... all kinds of little things, hobbies, goofy stuff, whatever. But when they realize that either they change out of their passion or they make enough small decisions enough to where they no longer have the desire for that passion.
They kill it.
But they know that it's still potentially there. It's just over a really tall mountain. It's over the slopes of the Hakone Ekiden.
And you know what? Because it seems so unattainable, they're actually going to make that mountain bigger, because then they don't have to come to terms with the fact that they're allowing themselves to give up on it, right?
Because that hurts.
Because if you think about it, if you have some passion and you're being kept from it, that hurts. That hurts a lot. Well, what if you weren't passionate about it anymore? Then it wouldn't hurt.
No.
You know? It only hurts because you care about it.
Yep.
So if you start sabotaging it, if you start killing the passion intentionally, even if you don't realize that that's what you're doing, you know, or you don't want to admit to yourself that that's what you're doing, that can be maybe a way out. And that's what Nico did, right? It's hard to run if your lungs are shit.
Yep.
You know? You can't blame it on your frame if it's all in your breathing.
Yep.
But
and this is
will that make you happy?
And this is the thing that Nico-chan really needed here, was the group to be able to be swept up in this, because he was not one of the first people to get on board with this.
No.
In fact, in some ways, he was one of the last, even though there were other people after him that were slower on the getting into this, like Prince, Yuki, There was something about the idea of Haiji calling the best compliment to give to a runner to be strong rather than to be fast.
Which is the thing that he said he didn't have.
Exactly. Which is the thing that he said he didn't have when he came to Chikose So and he met Nico-chan, is he said, "I'm weak."
Right.
And Nico-chan said, no, you're not weak. And that was the moment where I was just like, oh, okay. Because one of my favorite things about running specifically, and this is something that's really beautiful about running in a social dynamic. And this is why I really got excited for Yuki by having the advantage in some ways of having 4 runners alongside him.
Oh.
Because then he got to basically be able to measure in a comparative sense so that he would be able to understand when he was doing well, when he was not doing well.
Right.
Nico-chan got the same thing. He had a runner that they were both going back and forth with each other, and at that last bit, he got all fired up and he realized how much he loved this again, and he just powered right through it. He burst just right past him like it was nothing, and did super well. Now, the fact then, though, that this guy who had given up on his passion for running then gets the blessing of having this guy who had lost the ability to run, spent 4 years, and he watched every single part of this over the course of time, of him grabbing people and basically saying, like, don't you have a passion for this?
Right.
And even if they didn't have it, he would push it into them. He'd be like, you love running. You're going to love running.
Right.
I will make you love running.
Even if you don't love running, just stay at this place that's the running clubhouse.
Yeah.
You know?
Just by being in this environment.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so huge.
And I want to point something out. I want to point something out that I think is why that also became such a powerful thing for Nico-chan. Is that he didn't actually get swept up in it for those first 4 years.
Nope. It took him 4 years.
Yeah, it took him 4 years of seeing all this before he actually was like, you know what? Okay.
Sure.
And I'll bet over the course of time, there was a part of him that's like, what if I did quit smoking?
Yeah.
What if I...
What if I did just do a little bit of jogging with Haiji?
Yeah.
You know, he's...
Yeah, it could be fun. We could talk and stuff.
I could watch out for him because, he's got his leg and stuff. And,
yeah.
I mean, he's probably just going out there with the dog, right? That's not necessarily safe.
Nope. He didn't. And that...
Yeah.
We see the successes, right? Because that's...
That's what gets put on display.
That's what gets put on display,
for the
right?
most part. Yeah.
It's generally more exciting, and because we're watching a story, the story is about these boys that wouldn't have been expected to run in the Ekiden, running in the Ekiden, right?
Yep.
So we don't, if we spent another 23 episodes on each of the years before this where they did nothing, right? That wouldn't be as engaging, right?
I would watch the shit out of it.
No, I know you would.
I want the Run with the Wind prequel. Where it's just Haiji building up his resolve to do this.
But Nico saw that Haiji was doing it, right? that he was doing the physical therapy stuff and everything, so that one day maybe, they didn't even have the full 10.
No.
In fact, for the beginning of it, it would have just been them two, right?
Yeah.
Like, but Haiji did it. And so, of course, Nico-chan says, "You're not weak. You're not weak."
Well, now. Yeah.
Now he does, right?
Now, yeah.
Because he saw it.
Yeah.
He saw it. And you know,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
All right.
Maybe when it came around to it and Haiji's like, all right, we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He'd been shown enough that it was possible that he's like, all right.
I believe him. Yeah.
I'll be a strong runner too.
Yeah. I have so much I have so many feelings regarding the little moments of where he's falling in love with running all over again in the midst of running, because I think that as someone who never ran track, I never ran in any official capacity.
Yeah.
Ever. One of my favorite things about running was when there would be a group and there'd be that back and forth. You'd pass your buddy and then they'd pass you, and then two people would pass you, and then you'd pass one of them, and you'd keep going. And then every once in a while you see a buddy stop and you'd be like, no, keep going. But like, I have to keep going, otherwise I'll have to stop, can't break my pace here. But there's something so exciting to seeing someone else come up on you running. They're going faster, and there's like this permission that your body gives you to be like, would you like to go as fast as that? And it basically just kind of goes like, you want to have wings, you want to fly, you want to go, like, we can do this. Like, it's not competitive. What I think it is in some ways there's this uplifting aspect about seeing someone run in such a capacity that your body just kind of goes, oh, they're running. Oh, okay. Like it's like the pack mentality of humans.
I was gonna say,
it's like, oh, they have a reason that they're running that you might want to attach yourself to that reason. Like
going all the way back to like hunter gatherer, like evolutionary, like maybe that's where it comes from, where it's the there is something in us that has been trained that
there's either something over there or something over there.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Either way,
either way,
going this way.
Yeah.
And there was a point a couple days ago. I was playing frisbee, and everything was in the zone, and I was probably just notably quicker and just more just on top of my game, and my shining star rival on the field, who I could never hope to be as good at, like never. He's better than me in almost every single way. I was keeping up with him for like the first time in like 2 years since, pre-COVID and everything else. And it was just this moment where as he accelerated, I accelerated. As he turned on a dime, I turned on a dime. And there's this mirroring aspect, this fuel, this strength that you gain by being with someone strong, or not even someone strong, but just someone willing to push through their weakness.
Yeah.
And showing that strength. So Haiji showed him that. So that Nico-chan could run. And it just that is why I love Haiji so much, but that's why I love Nico-chan's like bit in this episode so much. It's just it's so good. I don't have anything else to say. I'm so excited now to have the final 2 episodes of this just be given to us so that we can see what we get for a finale.
Yes, I like. Recency bias is a thing, right? But I get the feeling that while Kakeru and Haiji will probably absolutely destroy me when we see their segments in the Ekiden, this episode, with being very like dedicated to Yuki and Nico-chan, I think it might be potentially my favorite Ekiden episode.
My favorite Ekiden episode. I totally understand.
And we still have to see what's going to happen with Kakeru and Haiji, because I'm sure that's going to
I'm sure
hearts.
that either one of those is going to break us. Yeah.
Yeah.
But last little bit, we've had a good long discussion this one, but I love the talk with Fujioka and Kakeru, because there's this aspect of Fujioka that is awe-inspiring.
Yep.
It is actually just awe-inspiring. And I think what it is I feel like in some ways I'm not Kakeru. I've never really resonated with Kakeru's like character in a way that felt similar to me, like relatable. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I've met Fujioka's.
Sure. Yeah.
And Fujioka's,
they stand out.
Fujioka's, you can't help but notice them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this aspect of respect that goes from Fujioka to Kakeru, where he's basically saying, hey, I'm the 4th year. You're the 1st year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you are going to go beyond me. But I'm going to showcase the most bright, shining example of what it means to own this sport.
Right.
And he brings up the idea of fun. There's no fun in running a race when you know how it ends. But there is an end I'm determined to reach. It's like, I'm going to win the section record. I'm going to break the section record.
Which is crazy. Like, because it goes to show, like, as far as escalation, right?
Yeah.
Like, Fujioka is so badass with how he runs and everything that it's like, okay, Kakeru is gonna, chase after him, but where is the competition gonna be happening, right?
Yeah, it won't even be with competition against
each other.
Other runners. It's gonna be entirely against themselves.
Well, yes, themselves, but it's the no. Racing against the other people in the Ekiden isn't enough anymore. We're racing against everyone who's ever run the Ekiden.
Right. And yes, exactly.
Like, or at least this section of the Ekiden.
This section.
And that's...
And what I love about it is it fits into the idea that winning isn't everything. Because that's where Sakaki kind of drops the proverbial ball in this case, even though this is running, we're not playing volleyball here, is that he needs to perform at a high enough level as a rookie so that he can be a starter.
Right, which is the situation that he's in,
yeah,
right?
Inspiring, dude. Go for it. Yep. Go for it. Use Kakeru even as your inspiration in that regard.
Right. Mortal frenemy, yeah.
But Fujioka is basically saying, I see something in you, Kakeru, that probably excites me and terrifies me.
Sure.
So I'm going to lay down the gauntlet so that you actually take this as seriously as possible.
Right.
Because you know what happened in the earlier parts of this episode? Haiji made Kakeru lose a bit of his concentration, maybe.
That's true.
And then Haiji said, aren't you going to run the fastest you've ever run? Mm-hmm. Fujioka's basically like continuing that conversation as if he was there. And he's like, Kakeru, you've got to run the fastest you ever have.
Yeah.
Because I don't like having this race be a determined end here. Mm-hmm. All I'm stating is what I'm going to do. Right. You better make this fun by surprising me with what you're going to do.
Right. But you know what? Regardless, I'm going to have fun too because
I'm going to do this no matter what you do.
I'm going to do this no matter what.
Yeah.
But if you think I'm just competing against you, again, you're wrong.
Exactly.
Right? I've got plenty more competition.
Oh man. What's beautiful with this is that Fujioka, though, is the Haiji that never got injured.
Right.
He is the one that represents the 4 years of the burden of greatness, basically, where he runs and everyone expects him to win. And yet he probably realizes, like the others were realizing in a completely different way, this is my last day.
Yeah.
He never said it here. He never said it here, but his body
he's
language...
definitely going to keep running after this.
But I would 100% almost bet on the idea that in the next episode he's going to say that line.
Right, because this will be his last time in the Ekiden.
Yes.
Because, he's a 4th year.
He's a 4th year, yeah.
He'll
be too old.
Yeah, he'll be too old.
Yeah.
The whole idea of, with storytelling and the main characters and progressing and doing their best and things like that, one of the reasons that it is so resonant with people, I feel, is because it's mythic, right? The mythic hero that basically goes and does the thing and they push themselves and they're sort of that paragon for the rest of society or whatever to chase after. Like in this case, it's for the rest of the runners, right? And the idea that Fujioka is basically like, no. If I'm going to be someone if I'm as awesome as I am right now, no. I'm going to be running against what would in a myth equivalent be like the dead. Like I'm going to. I know I've said this before, but like, oh my god, that is so cool. Like
Yeah,
that is so awesome.
He is the epitome in this story, other than Kakeru,
Yep.
of the ultimate athletic ideal.
Right.
And he has the experience and body to actually be able to put it out.
And this is why it that was something that was standing out to me so much, is that Kakeru's view in the beginning of this series was very limited. All he saw was time, right? That's all that existed. You need to run fast.
Yeah. Fujioka's given him perspective multiple times.
Fujioka's given him perspective, as well as, Haiji and everybody, but also that Kakeru, you're still a little fish in a big pond, right? Or you're a big fish in a little pond still, and there are bigger ponds that you can go out into, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go there, and I think you can come with me.
Yeah, I like the comparisons between the two. I feel like he's comparing himself more, though, to Haiji in a lot of ways. In some ways, like, he's the one that basically is realizing that I've ran with this burden now for 4 years. I'm going to be passing it on. I want to pass it on to someone like you.
Right.
But there's almost like this lamentation, this
It's lonely at the top.
Well, right, but this sorrow, like he's saying goodbye. And I feel like there are things that he didn't say here that he was thinking about saying.
Sure. Yes. It's from the wealth of things to say that you get the things that are impactful, right?
Yeah.
Because only the best, sort of rises to the top, and then that's what you actually say.
Yeah.
But
So what will you show me, Kakeru?
yeah,
What are you going to show us? Before we can get to that, we have to have King's run
We do.
with Sakaki in there, so that's another cool one-on-one kind of rival dynamic there.
But
and King is kind of the second worst, I would say, runner in the Chikuse. So the only reason Shindo probably did, so badly was because of, his sickness and stuff like that. But he would have put incredible
Normally he would have
numbers
done
on there.
much better, and
And King is in his head.
He's
King is in his own head.
Right.
No, I was meaning that King is unable to get out of his head.
Right.
He's stuck there, and
it's all in your head, Mr. Tweedy.
Oh boy.
Say it.
Yeah, and this is going to cause some problems for the overall results if they get pulled under this much. So King,
Good luck.
good luck. Yeah. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.